I still remember around the year 2019. I still remember looking and finding unusual amount of hair, my hair, about. And I was like, huh, this is curious. What's going on? I thought, it was a yearly thing, around the year. Sometimes you lose your hair, and it was some months later that I was sure that it wasn't a monthly thing. No, no, it was my line. It was receding. And I was like, ha, this happened, that happened. It's a new thing for me, experiencing the line receding. And then it hit me, of course it's receding. You are around that age, around that age. I'm 42 now, but I was like, yeah, I'm around that age, yeah. And after that, hair, especially around the beard, started, getting white, getting gray. Lots of grays around the beard. And I was like, whoa, that happened too. Yeah, you're an old man. That's when I noticed I'm an old man. So around 2020, I went to the barber and not so serious face. I told him I want a haircut, and he said, "How do you want it?" I mean, and I said, "I want it, really, really, short." And the guy, "Are you sure?" Yeah, I want it really, really short. And the guy said, "Can I take a picture?" And I said, "For what?" For the barber. It's my local barber. It's for the records of the. I don't know. I don't know if he used the picture, to put it around the, to decorate. I don't know if he used it. End up using it. I'm gonna ask him. I never seen anything, displayed in the wall, so I don't think he ended up using it. But he told me, yeah, I could, have your permission. Maybe I can mold it, and use it, for the purposes of, aesthetics. And I was like, yeah, sure, you can take. Because I used to wear my hair, like to the shoulders, yeah, and sometimes even lower than the shoulders. It was a pain, actually. It was a pain to take care of long hair. Um, so when I got really, really short hair, it was almost like a relief. I was like, oh, what a relief. It's so much easier to wash, to dry, so less maintenance. And yeah, but I made that decision, and it was a good decision because my hairline is receding. It just doesn't look cool, a line receding, and the back of the hair, still long. I mean, it doesn't look cool. Well, at least I thought back then it didn't look cool. So anyway, I was willing to make a change. Yeah, I need to make a change. It's been so many years since I have long hair, so I got rid of long hair. Yeah, that was the story about me realizing I had become an old man in the eyes of a 20-year-old, of a 19-year-old, of a 21-year-old. I mean, around here, you're an adult around 18. So I would say around an 18-year-old person, I am an old man at the age of 42. You know, some people just don't want to admit that. They think, oh no, that's just a number. At the age, for a man at the age of 42, you're starting your life. And if you exercise, if you eat properly, because men age like wine and whatnot. And I don't buy that. I don't buy that narrative at all. a lot of people use that to sell books or to sell, you know, supplements like testosterone and stuff. And no, no, that doesn't suit me. I'm not gonna, buy that narrative. But a lot of people do. Yeah. You start getting a little bit big around the belly, you know, and that is a normal reaction of the body. The body, you know, expands and gets heavier. The bones get more dense, and the body starts accumulating fat in places, you know, and it is natural that you would, grow bigger every year. You know, if a person doesn't gain weight, you know, with age, then something is wrong with you. Yeah, you could be sick, or you can be harming yourself by doing diets and stuff. I mean, I'm not against exercise, but I'm against being thin. I am. After a certain age, you need to have some storages of fat. I mean, if you can have storages of muscle, best, it's the best, of course. But not everybody after 40, after 40 is difficult to gain muscle, you know. You have to go on a strict lifestyle to gain muscle. Not everybody can afford that. It's difficult to gain muscle and to maintain muscle. I mean, after 60, I mean, some people might say, oh, no, it's not difficult to gain muscle. All you have to do is eat the right thing. Nah, I mean, you can't fight nature. Go ahead, try to fight nature. And I mean, there will be consequences, you know. You might be able to, with the help of modern technology, quote unquote, gain muscle and stuff, but there will be a price to pay. So our natural development, is to regularly lose mass in muscle as time moves on, and in exchange you'll be more prone to develop fat. Why is that? Well, if you get sick, it's going to be those storages that's going to probably save your life. I know someone who had extra 10, 15 kilos at the age of 60, and they had an issue with their intestines. One of those uh, bugs, shall we call it, for the lack of better, for everybody to understand. Let's just say a bug, after taking, antibiotics, you might disrupt your flora, and this bug just grew beyond, without any restrictions, and which caused, um, um, like 6 months of explosive diarrhea. And no matter how much you ate, you couldn't held anything in. And, this takes sometimes half a year to get about. And if you're young, all right, before your 40s, if you're young, your metabolism is way more different, right? It might have more muscle to chew on, and it might be have other workarounds to digest. But after 40, it's advisable if you have some fat, and that person at their 60s, after getting this bug, they lost like 15 kilos, and it was those kilos that helped them through this half a year of struggle. I don't know what's up with these specialists, but it seems to me they had no clue what they were doing. I'm telling you. How advanced is in fact our technology? How advanced it is in the 21st century that the so-called specialists, after doing all the analysis and then taking, échantillon, how do you say that? They took échantillon of everything, samples, sorry. They took samples and they come up with the new antibiotics and new strategies. And in the end, nothing seemed to work, and in the end, it is a game of attrition, and the body won. The body was able to fix itself. And I don't know. I don't know if the doctors actually did anything beneficial. I can't say. I can't really say. The treatment seems to be changing every month. They used to change it. After 3 weeks, they would stop because, it's just insane to continue to take antibiotics after 3 weeks. And then, but the thing wouldn't go away, and they changed from the antibiotics they use, and I don't know what they were doing. It seems that it was a game of attrition, and the body ended up winning, and it was these fat reserves that actually saved the patient. I don't think the doctors had anything to do with it. It seems to me that modern science made a bad turn at some point in the development of science, in the development of modern science. It seems to me they made a bad turn, and they are focusing on things that shouldn't be focused on. That is a bad bet. For instance, there's the current mainstream stuff that it's based on attacker versus attacked. There's someone attacking or something attacking and something else is defending. They base their model in that. But there's this other line of thinking called the terrain system, in which it's not really an attacker or someone defending. No, it's actually the terrain, the things that are around you that influence you. And if you change the terrain, if you change the conditions, you will change the patient. It's a total different approach. And, I don't know. I'm not well versed, and I'm not a specialist in these things, but after what I've read, and I've read some thousands of pages on modern medicine and stuff, there's something off here. They made a bad turn at some point. And for instance, what is it? What's his name? That guy, Louis Pasteur. I mean, they came out, recently and said that most of the stuff that he wrote down, most of his experiments and conclusions were all fraudulent. And it was those fraudulent, outcomes that gave birth to this monster that we have now. You know, it just doesn't make any sense, and it ends up being a game of attrition. And if your body is still has conditions, to rebuild and continue, then you're good to go. If the other way doesn't happen, well, you just pass away. I mean, the modern science, they've become quite proficient in surgery, but surgery is a last resort thing. It's a last resort. It shouldn't be used like like the one bomb, the one weapon that will destroy every. No, it could only be used in last resort. I mean, I was reading this book about gallbladder and gallstones and liver stones and all that stuff, and apparently there's ways of you know getting rid of those things besides surgery, but they don't go that way. They just, it's almost like you become a heretic if you start talking about alternative things. They treat it like mainstream. They treat it like it's a religion. and everything else is heretic. And their way is highly connected to capitalism. Not just capitalism, their way of doing things is also highly connected to the law system, to the system, judiciaire, you know, and one hand washes the other, you see. And they found a balance like that because if it's the other way around, a more terrain approach, then law and stuff becomes a gray area. It doesn't really apply. You know what I mean? Becomes useless. And they don't like gray areas. They like it to be black and white, even though they have to sacrifice, logic. They have to sacrifice, you know, this is just my opinion. The reason why things are the way they are. So then it's up to the patient, decision. If then the patient has the decides that he wants to go a different approach, then it's him, it's on him, so to speak. But if it's up to the system, they have their ways of doing things, and everything is, you know, in a judicial and capitalist way. That's how they see it. And so if you decide to go and do a different, that's on you, right? And most people don't want that approach because most people are not, self, uh, they're not self-sufficient. They're not free. They lack, what is that thing? Self-determination. They lack self-awareness. They want to be taken care of, basically. They want to be treated like children. So anyway, I don't like these gurus that go out. Oh, you're 40. Oh, that's no problem. Some supplements, some exercise, and you'll be fine. No, man, you're an old man. At the age of 40, you're an old man. Sorry. No matter how hard you try to mask it or pretend, it just becomes creepy after a while. When you have these 60-year-olds, hanging around 20-year-olds, like, hey, what's up? I'm the cool guy. I still have it. No, you don't. And I also find creepy when you have these 50-year-olds, dating, uh, you know, people half their age. That's just creepy. I find it creepy. I mean, I wouldn't, judge them. I just find it creepy. I mean, who knows their circumstances? Yeah, like Charlie Chaplin. I think he was like 70 years old, and he had a girl pregnant. I mean, I just find that creepy. Anyway, thinking about royalty, emperors and kings and whatnot. I mean, they probably would do the same, right? They were probably 8 years old and having, 18-year-old concubines, and stuff. I don't know. I find it creepy, but that's just me. I don't know. I think 10-year-old difference in age. I think it's doable. A 10-year-old gap, 10, 15, sometimes, but beyond that, it just becomes, I don't know. Who's that? Your granddaughter? You know, so weird. I mean, it was a status thing, I suppose. Only the most powerful, could afford, you know. Anyway, I think I'm going to shut up now. Have a nice day.